From the family shadows, you ungrateful, Sophia began, but the words died in her throat as reporters streamed into the ballroom. The blood drained from Mother's face, her perfectly manicured hands trembling. A projector illuminated the wall behind her. Bank statements, hidden letters, evidence of years of meticulous manipulation, all exposed beneath the unforgiving gallery lights. I straightened my spine, feeling the weight of the portfolio in my hands. No longer transparent, no longer silent. I believe you all received invitations to this special preview, I told the reporters, my voice steadied despite my pounding heart. My family has a story to tell. 3 weeks earlier, dust tickled my nose. As I shifted boxes in my parents' storage room, my mother's voice echoed from downstairs, urging me to hurry and find the Christmas decorations. But my eyes were drawn to something else, an intricately carved wooden box hidden behind a stack of weathered moving cartons. My fingertips traced the delicate carvings, following the curves of etched flowers. The lid creaked as I opened it, my heart fluttering with anticipation. But instead of the trinkets and treasures I expected, I found myself staring at meticulously organized photo albums and scrapbooks. The first album opened to pages centered on Sophia's high school graduation. Her perfect smile beamed up at me, clutching her valedictorian medal. The next page showed Elena at her piano recital, fingers poised above ivory keys. Memory flash, 6-year-old me, tugging at Mother's sleeve during dinner. Mama, look at my drawing. A cold glance, then a dismissive, not now, Annie. Sophia is telling us about her science project. I turned more pages, my movements becoming increasingly frantic. Sophia's college acceptance. Elena's art competition. Their birthdays. Their achievements. Their celebrations. Not a single photograph of me. I grabbed another album, and another, my hands beginning to shake. All told the same story, a carefully curated family history where I simply didn't exist. The room suddenly felt smaller, the air heavier. I thought of last weekend's family gathering, me chasing after Leo and Mia as they ran between furniture in the living room. Annie, control the children. Mother's sharp voice cut through the chaos. Meanwhile, Sophia talked about her latest promotion by the fireplace, Elena nodding along. Both perfectly poised and composed. Always the babysitter, never the star, Sophia had whispered as I passed by later, her tone dripping with false sympathy. But really, what else could you do? Another memory surfaced, Elena's sweet 16 party last spring. I'd spent hours helping Mother prepare, arranging decorations and placing flowers. But when guests arrived, I watched Mother strategically position family photos. I watched her remove my dance competition certificate from the wall, replacing it with Elena's latest piano award. We want to focus on the birthday girl, she'd said, not meeting my eyes. The pattern had continued for years. At every family gathering, every holiday, every celebration, the same careful choreography took place. My sister's wedding photos displayed prominently while my art school acceptance letter gathered dust in a drawer. The family newsletter Mother sent each Christmas filled with updates about Sophia's career and Elena's recitals. My accomplishments reduced to a brief mention of helping around the house. My fingers touched something at the bottom of the box, a bundle of certificates and newspaper clippings. Each documented a different victory. Sophia's academic awards, Elena's artistic accomplishments. Mother's meticulous handwriting labeled every item, dated every milestone. I remembered the day I won first place in the county art show. Mother didn't come. Someone has to watch the children, she'd said, not meeting my eyes. I stood alone on stage, clutching my ribbon, searching the audience for a familiar face. Memory flash, 10-year-old me, setting the dinner table while Mother talks on the phone. Yes, just the 4 of us in the family photo. Annie will take it, always the invisible photographer, always behind the camera, never in the frame. Floorboards creaked behind me, and I turned to find Grandma Rose standing in the doorway. Her eyes moved from my face to the scattered albums, something changing in her expression. She said nothing, but her gaze held mine with an intensity that tightened my throat. There was recognition there, and something else, a spark of defiance that echoed the fire burning in my chest. The box sat between us like an accusation. All these years, I'd tried to be a good daughter, a helpful sister, reliable. I'd swallowed words, buried dreams, played the role assigned to me. But sitting here, surrounded by physical evidence of my erasure, something inside me finally broke. I rose slowly, unsteady on my feet. Through the dusty window, rain had begun to spot the glass, distorting the world outside. The house felt different now, like a museum dedicated to my own transparency. The family photographs on the walls, the carefully arranged shelves, all part of the same narrative. One where I was nothing more than a footnote, a shadow in the background. My reflection caught in the window, barely visible between raindrops. For the first time, I really looked at myself, paint-stained fingers, uncertain smile, the spark of defiance in my eyes that no one had bothered to notice. "No more," I whispered to my reflection. The words felt like a match struck in darkness. My trembling hands pulled a weathered envelope from the wooden box, edges frayed and yellowed with time. More documents spilled out from beneath it, financial records, letters, notes in Mother's precise handwriting. Each felt like a knife to my chest. October 15th. Removed A's art competition photo from living room display. Replaced with S's business award. Focus on achievements. December 3rd. Family newsletter draft. Lead with S's promotion. Include E's recital. A helping with holiday prep keeping busy. January 20th. Budget adjustment. Reallocating A's college fund to S's MBA program. More strategic investment. Tears threatened to spill over, blurring the words. I pushed them back, refusing to let them fall. Each page revealed another calculated move, another deliberate erasure. Mother, Isabel, had documented everything with clinical precision, like a scientist recording a long-term experiment. But I was never the scientist. I was the lab rat. I found a recent entry about last month's family barbecue, and my throat constricted. Sophia cornering me by the drink table. "Still playing with your little paintings, Annie?" What a quaint hobby. According to the notes, it wasn't just unconscious cruelty. She had rehearsed the line, chosen the moment, coordinated with Mother to ensure maximum impact, while the rest of the family celebrated her latest promotion. Another folder caught my eye, printed, meticulously organized emails. Recognizing Sophia's work address at the top, my stomach lurched. The contents revealed betrayal deeper than I'd imagined. Mom Annie is applying for the Hardgrove Scholarship. I've contacted admissions and reminded them about Dad's foundation incident. They'll make sure the application gets lost. It's about the Art Institute interview. Scheduled a client meeting for the same day. Annie has no ride, and we've diverted her savings so she can't afford bus fare. Perfect timing. As FYI, I mentioned Annie's emotional instability to Carol. Should help discredit any complaints about the family fund shortage. Each printed email revealed my sister as more than Mother's puppet. She was an architect of my erasure. The family gathering where she mocked my hobby in front of potential clients. The mysteriously vanishing scholarship applications. The whispered concerns about my mental health whenever I tried to speak up. All carefully planned, documented, executed. The creak of floorboards sent my heart racing, and I looked up to find Grandma Rose standing in the doorway. Despite her gentle demeanor, her eyes were sharp. She entered the room with purpose, settling into an old armchair as if she'd been waiting for this moment. "Your mother kept it all," she said quietly. "Every manipulation. Every calculated slight. Isabel was always thorough. You knew?" The words came raw, accusatory. Grandma Rose's fingers traced the edge of a nearby photo album. "She learned by watching your grandfather, the way he controlled everything, everyone. When he died, she stepped into his shoes. She caught my gaze. But she perfected it. Made it an art. The air grew thick with dust and secrets as she explained the subtle cues at family gatherings, the choreographed conversations, how Isabel positioned herself, ensuring the right people heard the right whispers, how Sophia learned to replicate her mother's techniques, becoming the perfect disciple in the art of delicate destruction. Last year's Christmas party, I whispered, a memory surfacing, when my art school acceptance letter conveniently disappeared before the family photo. Grandma Rose's smile was sad. Nothing in this house is convenient, dear. Or accidental. My eyes returned to the box, something catching my attention. A cream-colored envelope with my name written in Grandma Rose's elegant script, hidden beneath the others. Inside were bank statements, contact information for art galleries, letters of recommendation written years ago and carefully preserved. I couldn't stop her, Grandma Rose said quietly. But I could prepare for the day you'd see everything clearly. There are people waiting to help you, Annie. People who've seen your talent, watched over you, waited. My fingers touched another paper, a torn diary page hastily stuffed at the bottom of the box. The handwriting was unfamiliar, the signature faded, but certain phrases jumped out. The truth about the inheritance, and Isabel's plans for the foundation. As I read further, a chill ran down my spine. This went beyond emotional manipulation. There was something darker here, something that could shatter the careful facade Mother had built around the family name. Be careful with that, Grandma Rose warned, lowering her voice. If Isabel realizes you know about the diary. She didn't voice the threat, but I understood. The secret college fund, the network of supporters she'd built for me, all could vanish with a word from Mother. I stared at the diary page, its edges crumbling slightly at my touch. One question burned in my mind, sending my heart racing. What secrets lay hidden within these walls? And how far would Mother go to keep them buried? Late afternoon sunlight slanted through the dusty window, casting long shadows over the scattered evidence of family betrayal. In the distance, I heard Mother's voice calling up the stairs. Cheerful and controlled as always, but now I heard the steel beneath the sugar, the calculation behind every syllable. I carefully returned everything to the box, all except the diary page, which I slipped into my pocket. Its weight felt like a live coal against my leg, burning with possibility and danger. Grandma Rose watched me with knowing eyes. We both understood the game had changed, and this time, I was done playing by their rules. Mother's heels clicked against the marble floor, her tailored blazer a shield of perfect composure as she strode across the dining room. She paused behind Sophia's chair, resting her manicured hand on my sister's shoulder. Did you hear about Sophia's promotion? Senior partner at just 28. The crystal chandelier caught the triumph in Mother's eyes. She surveyed the gathered family, her gaze sliding over me like water over glass, settling instead on Elena's latest piano certificate displayed on the shelf. Memory flash, 13-year-old me, waiting for Mother after my first art show. Standing alone outside the gallery as night fell, clutching my certificate of excellence. No call, no message. Just silence. Annie, Mother's voice sliced through the murmur of conversation. The children need supervision in the playroom. I gripped my fork tightly, the metal cold against my palm. I thought I'd stay for dinner tonight. Talk about my news. The children, Annie. Her tone allowed no argument. Beside her, Sophia's lips curved into that familiar smirk. Anger rose in my chest, a pressure threatening to crack my ribs. Years of dismissal and careful choreography flashed through my mind. Every accomplishment buried. Every dream redirected for someone else's glory. The fork trembled in my grip. No. The word dropped like a stone into still water. Conversation stopped. Mother's perfectly groomed eyebrow arched. I said no. I pushed back my chair and stood, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. I'm not watching the children tonight. I'm not being the convenient babysitter anymore. Annie, Sophia interjected, her tone dripping with false concern. Someone has to watch them. After all, that's what you're good at, isn't it? The patronizing smile she wore was the same one from 1,000 memories. The dance recital she convinced mother to skip. The art show opening where my paintings were relegated behind a wall. The family photos where I was positioned outside the frame. What I'm good at. A laugh escaped me, sharp and unfamiliar. You don't know what I'm good at. None of you ever bothered to look. Mother's face hardened. That's enough. You're making a scene. A scene? The words tasted like freedom. You want to talk about scenes, Mother? Let's talk about Elena's 16th birthday, when you took down my dance certificate to make room for her piano award. Or last Christmas, when you edited me out of the family newsletter. Or perhaps we should discuss the trust fund you've been hiding. Annie. Mother's voice cracked like a whip. That's quite enough. But it wasn't enough. Not anymore. I turned to face the startled relatives, my hands now steady. For years, I've watched you orchestrate this perfect family narrative. Brilliant Sophia. Talented Elena. And me, the convenient shadow keeping the machinery running. It's over. I'm done being your backdrop. Sophia rose, her composure slipping. You're being ridiculous. Jealousy doesn't suit you, little sister. Jealousy? I met her gaze. I'm not jealous, Sophia. I'm awake. And I'm not the only one who sees through this charade. I looked across the table at Grandma Rose. Her eyes caught mine, a slight nod, barely perceptible, sending strength through my veins. In that moment, I saw what I hadn't before. I wasn't alone in this fight. Excuse me, I said, gathering my bag. I have a meeting with Marcus Lynn about next month's gallery exhibition. You remember Marcus, Mother? The curator who said I was wasting my time. Mother's face paled. Sophia's perfect smile cracked at the edges. For the first time in years, I felt a shift in power, subtle, but undeniable. I walked out of the dining room, their stunned silence following me like a cloak. In the entrance hall, I caught my reflection in the gilt-edged mirror, paint-stained fingers, defiant eyes, shoulders straight with newfound purpose. The trembling girl who once dodged and avoided their expectations was gone. Outside, the evening air carried the scent of jasmine from Grandma Rose's garden. I breathed it in, letting the familiar fragrance steady me. My phone vibrated with a text from Marcus. Gallery space secured. Time to show them what you're made of. As I slid into my car, a smile touched my lips. They had tried to keep me small, contained, transparent. But they'd forgotten one crucial detail. Shadows know how to grow teeth in the dark. And mine were ready to bite. I drove to the small studio apartment I'd been secretly renting for the past month. The space wasn't much, but it was mine. Every paint-splattered surface, every half-finished canvas leaning against the walls. Here, in this sanctuary of color and light, the weight of the evening's confrontation finally hit me. My hands shaking. I collapsed onto the worn sofa as memories flooded in. The constant dismissals. The subtle undermining. The careful erasure of my existence. Each memory burned, but instead of crushing me, they fueled something new. Something powerful. Memory flash, 8-year-old me, proudly showing Mother my first real painting. Her disinterested glance then. That's nice, honey. Did you finish your homework? Sophia's science project won first place today. I pulled out my sketchbook, the pages rough beneath my fingers. Each stroke of charcoal felt like an act of defiance. I drew the faces of my family as I'd seen them tonight. Mother's mask of control slipping, Sophia's perfect composure sliding. Truth bleeding through every line. Messages lit up my phone. First from Grandma Rose. Proud of you, dear. Come see me tomorrow. There are things you should know. Then Marcus. Your portfolio is ready. The art community needs to see this. When you're ready. Even my old high school art teacher had reached out. Heard about tonight. About time. Let me know if you need anything. Support flowing in. Unexpected but overwhelming. All this time, while Mother and Sophia had been trying to isolate me, others had been watching. waiting, preparing to help when I finally found my voice. 2 weeks later, I stood in Marcus's gallery surrounded by my work. They told my story, dark, twisted family trees, portraits with shadowed eyes behind smiling faces. A series of self-portraits depicting figures emerging from beneath layers of stifling propriety. "Is this all right?" Marcus asked, adjusting the lighting on my centerpiece. A massive canvas depicting a family dinner scene where figures cast shadows that revealed their true natures. "I've never been more certain," I replied, straightening the name card beside the work. Tomorrow night, the gallery would open. Mother and Sophia would receive invitations in the morning. They couldn't ignore this public declaration of truth without raising questions. Late that evening, as I was packing up to leave, I noticed an old jewelry box hidden behind supplies, one of Grandma Rose's antiques she had insisted I take. Its weight felt odd. Turning it over, I found a hidden compartment, inside which lay a yellowed envelope. With trembling hands, I unfolded the letter inside. The first line stole my breath. "My dearest Annie, if you're reading this, you finally found your power. It's time you knew about your true legacy." As I read on, the words swam before my eyes. Line by line, it revealed carefully hidden truths that could change everything. In my chest, hope blossomed like wildfire. Moonlight spilled across the floor of my studio as I opened the hidden safe behind my easel. My fingers traced the worn edges of Grandma Rose's documentation, years of meticulous evidence gathering compiled into one devastating weapon. Financial records, personal letters, family documents Isabel thought she'd destroyed. Every scrap of paper was a bullet. The oak table, a Parker family heirloom specifically left to me by Grandma Rose, groaned under the weight of spread documents. My laptop played local news in the background, a constant reminder of the world beyond the wall. The world that would soon know the truth about the perfect Parker family. Marcus's text appeared on my phone. "Everything set for tomorrow." As I sorted the documents into precise piles, my hands were steady. Here the evidence of financial manipulation. There the evidence of emotional abuse. Each stack represented a different angle of attack, a calculated assault on the fortress Isabel and Sophia had built. I paused at a bank statement from 3 years ago. The numbers blurred before my eyes as I remembered standing alone at my first major art show, empty chairs where family should have been. "Someone has to watch the children," Mother had said. Now I knew she'd been moving funds that day, systematically emptying the account Grandma Rose had established for my education. Anonymous legal inquiries had been dispatched this morning. Rebecca Turner had called an hour ago to confirm her support. Pieces settling into place like brushstrokes on canvas, each essential in the larger picture. Years of suppressed anger had crystallized into something harder, sharper, a blade forged in silence, ready to cut through their lies. The charity gala at the Grandview Hotel became a battlefield the moment I stepped through its gilded doors. Isabel commanded the stage like a general, her voice dripping with practiced sincerity as she spoke about family loyalty. "The Parker name stands for tradition," she declared, each word a carefully aimed arrow. "For unity and unwavering support." Sophia circulated through the crowd like a serpent, poisoning the waters. I caught fragments of her whispers. "Always been troubled. Never quite fit in." Such a shame, really. But she didn't see what I was seeing. Marcus Lynn's subtle nod from across the room. Rebecca Turner's phone recording every poisonous word. A growing network of allies positioned throughout the ballroom. The massive screen behind Isabel flickered, interrupting her speech. My heart raced as the video I'd spent weeks editing began to play. Evidence appearing in stark black and white, bank statements, doctor documents, incriminating letters. But it was the testimonies that silenced the room, former family members speaking directly to camera, their faces etched with years of similar betrayal. "The Parkers nearly destroyed me," Cousin Sarah's voice echoed through the stunned ballroom. "They took everything, my inheritance, my dignity, my place in the family, all because I questioned Isabel's authority." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Isabel's perfect mask crumbled. She lunged for the podium, but her words died in her throat as more evidence flooded the screen. Sophia's desperate attempts to control the damage only drew more attention to their collapsing facade. The community's response was immediate and overwhelming. Marcus stepped forward, his presence commanding attention. As a longtime observer of this family's dynamics, he began, his voice carrying throughout the now silent room. I can verify every detail you're seeing. Rebecca Turner appeared at my side, her phone still recording. The art world has watched the systematic suppression of young talent for too long, she announced. Tonight, that changes. The next morning, Grandma Rose's carefully crafted plan unfolded. Financial advisors released statements confirming the existence of my secret college fund. Legal experts outlined patterns of fiscal manipulation. The Urban Arts Gallery transformed into a war room. My artwork displayed alongside documented evidence of years of suppression. Marcus orchestrated the exhibition with military precision. Each piece told part of the story, a painting of a caged bird next to bank statements showing diverted funds. Self-portraits alongside letters revealing Isabel's systematic campaign to undermine my achievements. Truth flowing beyond canvas and paper, impossible to ignore. At the panel discussion, Rebecca took the lead. Former family employees stepped forward, their stories corroborating mine. The portrait of the perfect Parker family shattered under the weight of accumulated evidence, each revelation driving another nail into Isabel's coffin of control. As evening settled over the gallery, I was drawn to a vintage desk in the corner, another piece of Parker history donated years ago. My fingers traced its worn surface, discovering a hidden clasp in the drawer. Clicking it open revealed a sealed envelope, the paper yellowed with age. The elegant handwriting inside froze my blood. This letter not only confirmed what we already knew, but revealed an entirely new layer of deception. The college fund wasn't just a secret account. It was part of a larger trust, with conditions. Conditions that, if violated, would remove all control from Isabel and Sophia. As I read further, my hand trembled. I discovered names I hadn't expected. The web of lies extended beyond my mother and sister, connecting others in ways I never imagined. The truth I thought I knew was merely the surface of a much darker reality. The letter burned in my hand like an ignited fuse. In the quiet gallery, surrounded by evidence of my triumph, I realized this wasn't over yet. The question wasn't whether I had won. It was what would happen when the full extent of the Parker deception was finally revealed, and whether any of us would survive the explosion. Sunlight streams through the tall windows of the San Francisco Art Institute, casting long shadows across my new workspace. With slightly trembling fingers, I unpack my supplies, fresh brushes, tubes of paint vibrant with secrets waiting to be unleashed. Around me, the bustle of creative energy fills the studio as other students settle into their spaces, their conversations a melody of artistic dreams and determination. Welcome home, I whisper to myself, running my hand along the smooth wooden easel. The words feel right in my mouth, unlike the hollow praise and false warmth of the Parker household, solid and true. This space radiates authenticity. My canvases lean against the wall, blank, but full of possibility. Each represents a story waiting to be told, a truth begging to be shared. The paint-splattered floor beneath my feet bears the traces of countless artists who came before me, their legacy of creative courage seeping up through my worn boots, strengthening my resolve. This is where I belong, standing tall in my own light, not shrinking in the shadows of Sophia's accomplishments or Elena's performances. Taking a deep breath, I begin setting up my first piece. The empty canvas looms before me, but I'm no longer intimidated by blank spaces. I've lived in them too long, carving my existence into the margins of other people's stories. Now it's time to fill them with my own bold strokes, my own vibrant colors. Memory flash, 5-year-old me, hiding under the table with crayons and paper. "What are you drawing, Annie?" Grandma Rose asks while Mother discusses Sophia's kindergarten achievements in the background. "Me," I whisper. I'm drawing me. Later that afternoon, I'm back in the familiar storage space. But this time, I'm not searching for Christmas decorations or hidden family secrets. I'm here with purpose, canvas in hand. The space feels different now, less suffocating, more like the cocoon I've finally escaped. My latest work, Reclaimed Identity, hangs on the wall where Mother once displayed Sophia's valedictorian photo. The self-portrait stares back at me with unforgiving honesty, bold strokes of deep crimson and burning gold capturing a woman emerging from darkness into light. No more muted tones. No more careful curves designed to take up less space. This painting screams with a voice I was never allowed to use. As the sun sets over San Francisco, I make my way to the Institute's rooftop terrace. The city spreads below me, a tapestry of light and possibility. The leather-bound journal rests heavy on my lap, each word I write becoming testimony to the journey that brought me here. The first time I realized I was transparent, I thought it was my fault. I write, the pen scratching against paper. I tried to make myself smaller, to speak more quietly, to need less. But transparency isn't a natural state. It's something that was done to me, one careful erasure at a time. Now the words flow faster, years of silent pain finding voice. I document every dismissal, every not now, Annie, every time my achievements were pushed aside for my sister's spotlight. But this isn't merely a catalog of wounds. It's a map of survival. A blueprint of how I rebuilt myself from ground they scorched. Grandma Rosa's gathering at the cafe feels worlds away from the sterile perfection of Parker family events. Afternoon light filters through Victorian windows, casting warm patterns on the faces of my chosen family. Marcus, my mentor from the gallery, raises his coffee cup in a toast, while Rebecca, who gave me my first show opportunity, beams from across the table. To Annie, Grandma Rose announces, her voice strong and clear, who taught us all that the most beautiful art comes from becoming free. The words wrap around me like a genuine, warm embrace. These people, passionate painters, dedicated sculptors, and fierce advocates who have become my tribe, they see me. Truly see me. Not as the convenient babysitter or reliable assistant, but as an artist. A warrior. A whole person worthy of celebration. Looking around at their smiles around the table, I realize something profound. True family isn't about shared blood or surnames. It's about shared understanding, support, and the courage to be authentically yourself. As golden evening light bathes my downtown studio, I work with my newest student, Sarah. Her hands tremble slightly as they hold the brush, just as mine once did. I recognize the fear in her eyes, the same fear I carried for so long. Your family doesn't understand why you paint, do they? I say quietly, watching her add hesitant strokes to the canvas. It isn't a question. I've learned to recognize the signs. The way she apologizes for taking up space. How she tries to make herself smaller. They say it's a waste of time, she whispers, stopping her brush mid-stroke. That I should focus on something more practical, something that erases you. I finish, her eyes meeting mine, widening with recognition. I guide her hand back to the canvas, helping her press down with more confidence. Paint bigger, I tell her. Let them hear your colors. As the sun sinks behind the city skyline, Sarah's painting begins to take shape, a riot of vivid colors breaking free from careful constraints. In her determined expression, I see my own journey reflected. The cycles of silence end here, one brave brushstroke at a time.